I didn't realize we were live. That's a lie. I knew it. I got Raisinets. Even though this isn't officially like a snacking, this isn't like the official snacking show. What are you gonna do? You know, if you can get some junk food in, get it in. Welcome to Aaron Live. This is the last second live stream. I got some inking to do, so I figured let's do it live. Let's talk about it a little bit. Show you my technique, such as it is. I'm not going to be inking with a brush today. I'm going to be inking with pens because, again, as I stated earlier, I want this Wraith of God stuff to have kind of a little bit different feel to it. So I want to get away from that slick brush inking that I've been known for most of my career and do something a little rougher. And so we'll take a look at that and how it all sort of comes together to form a beautiful piece of artwork. We're all hoping. Let's see who's here. Leg Kick is here. I never would have guessed in a million years. Lady Celtic Moon is checking in. I like that. It's like she's keeping tabs, making sure that everything is copacetic. So that's good. Lady Celtic Moon is here. I don't think that's an appropriate way to start the show off. Hyper Kaiju is here. Stephen Ing. Don't choke. Don't choke on the raisins, or don't choke when I'm inking. There it is. Although I don't know if Shelly's going to drop in or not. Today is Shelly's birthday. Today is Shelly Showtime's birthday. She's taking her easy. I don't know if she'll wander in or not, but it should be a day of grand celebration. So as she turns 29 again. So pretty exciting stuff. Hyper Kaiju, what are you inking today, Aaron? I'm going to ink some of that page from the Wraith of God that we showed you, page number 1, which you may recall looks something like this. Excuse me. So I'm not going to go in and ink these little tiny things, but we're going to ink some of the bigger stuff here for a couple of reasons. One, it's easier for me to do that sitting here, and it's easier for you to see what I'm doing when I'm working bigger. So that's what we're going to be inking. Well, we're not quite at noon here, so it may be, but not for a while yet. Look at that. We have multiple birthdays. Past Master Dan says, no way, my youngest daughter's birthday is today. Same as my brother Pat. How about that? Wow, July 20th is a big day for birthdays. Okay, so let me let's plug the product. This is what I'm gonna be working on today, Wraith of God, which of course many of you, or maybe all of you, are aware, is on Indiegogo right now in a pre-launch stage. So I need people to go over there and sign up with their emails. We're doing really well. The sign up is going really well, but not well enough. We have to get, I'm told, to 1,000 signatures before we can feel good about ourselves. So we're a little more than halfway there right now after 11 days, which I think is pretty good. It's going to be up for basically 3 more weeks, and then the campaign will go live. But I need you to sign up. Don't wait. Do it now. The link is in the description down here at the bottom, and it's also, if you're watching on Facebook, it's on my Facebook page, somewhere on my page. I posted you on yesterday, so it can't be too far down the list. And if you're on the Aaron Lopresti art page, it's there as well. It's on my Twitter profile page. It's on my Instagram bio page. So there is links everywhere. And of course, this is the cover to the comic or the graphic novel. That's one cover. Excuse me. Here's another cover. I've been talking and live streaming so much recently that my voice is really suffering. This is my 70s retro marble style cover that'll be available, and I have a third cover being done by a big name artist. So check that out, please. This is also Garbage Man trade paperback, is now available for pre-order at your local comic shop or Amazon. It's being published by Dark Horse Comics for me. 18 pages of new material jammed in there, so it's not just reprint material. I mean, there is, of course, reprints all the DC stuff, both new material replacing Batman, who originally appeared in the story, and now it's my my super team, the Night Club, which is kind of a set of creepy heroes. It sort of kind of goes along with Garbage Man, fits nicely in there, seamlessly, you might say. So you want to make sure you order that as well. The other thing is we are only 10 subscribers away from 1,000, and that is a huge party when that happens. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please, 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 please do that, and throw me a few likes. And I guess, you know, they say the more you comment, the more comments that are on your video, the more it hits what do you call it? Not a logarithm, but a whatever, that triggers more advertising and more attention to your page by YouTube, which would then mean more advertising revenue if I ever get to 1,000 subscribers. But I'm only 10 away, so I've got to be really, really close. So we're going to get there. We're going to get there very quickly, maybe before the end of the week. That'd be awesome. Do I have any big announcements? Yeah, I do have some big announcements. Well, I'm not going to be here this weekend. I'm going to be in Kansas City, and I will be doing a one-day show on Saturday in Kansas City called the Fountain City Mini-Con, and I will be do a store signing on Friday this week. I'll be in Kansas City at Phoenix Comics, signing and chatting people up and all sorts of stuff. So if you're in that area, check those out. Come and see me. But as a result, I won't be on the professionals this week because I'll be in the air probably at the time that's broadcasting. And then, like I said, Friday and Saturday I'll be otherwise occupied. Then Sunday I'll be flying back home, so I'll be back here Sunday evening. And I'll be sure to file a report, you know, with you guys. I'll take some video while I'm there, and I don't know that I'll broadcast live because I'm not real proficient at that kind of thing. So, but I will at least take some video so that I can show that later on my big show live stream on Sunday evenings. And when I get back, I'm going to book Mark Nelson, artist Mark Nelson, who's perhaps best known for his work on the very first Dark Horse Aliens comic miniseries from like 88, 89 maybe. And but terrific character designer, terrific artist. He does the best, weirdest creatures you'll ever see in your life. And so we don't have a date set for that yet, but he has says he wants to come on. I said, I want to have you on. And so we're going to try and get that set up as soon as possible when I get back. Because this show needs two things. It needs more guests and more portfolio review. Probably not the latter. But anyway, so anyway, let's see. 10 more to 1,000. You're right, leg kicked. Algorithms. That's what I was trying to say when I say logarithms. Well, that's math, so I guess maybe it's sort of related. Yeah, I saw Andy was streaming, but he's almost done inking his Captain America. So, there is so many comics I'm keeping my eyes open for if I happen to see one at a show. Which one I would get would depend on how much money I actually made at the show, because I only spend my profits at the show. Keep the money on the floor. That's what I say. Oh, I've got a couple issues of Tales of Suspense I'm still looking for. I've got some Captain America issues I'm still looking for. I have some Avengers issues I'm still looking for. Defenders 17 is on my list. Even though it's just a terrible cover, but it's the first appearance of the Wrecking Crew, and they only appear in one panel. I have the first full appearance, which is the next issue, but I wanted to get that 17, and it's starting to go up in price now, so it's like I'm trying to get it before it gets too high, and then I don't want to deal with it. There's some issues with Thor I'm looking for. I've got issues. Well, I've got issues, and I need issues. So. Oh, Andy wants to come on and steal my thunder. Okay, I'm fine with that. Let me send a little message to Andy Smith, because I know he's inking with a brush and I'll be inking with a pen, so we might have a little bit of exciting contrast there. How about that, huh? There's nothing like exciting contrast. Let me see. Let's see if I can get Andy in here. All right. There's always so many buttons to push. Okay. Then I go there. Then I go to Andy. And then I post. Then I send. And then I come back to you guys. And it's that simple. Oh, well, it's, you know, the great pen brush debate of 21. Well, the thing is, it's not really so much a debate as it's just a, because I'm a brush guy. I mean, I spent my whole life inking with a brush, but in fact, I'll prove it to you. Crying out loud, where is it? And we'll just use this one for the sake of argument. I normally, when I ink, yeah, you can't see that. Let me do this. You'll notice I actually have, hey, pants on today. How about that?
Hey, Dad.
That's my daughter just came right in. Yes.
Smell me.
It smells good. It's not too perfumey. What is it?
Where's your camera? It's black black raspberry vanilla body cream, Bath and Body Works.
That's where she works. She's selling product. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Looks like we have sponsorship almost.
There you go. So go get some of this. It smells really good.
There you go. Oh, if you're a guy, I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, maybe for your wife or girlfriend. Okay. Can we see this? Oh man. This is a Raphael Kalinsky #2 brush. These actually have serial numbers on them. They're easy to find that way. It's an 8404. And these are the brushes I ink with. They have a really good point. They don't particularly last as long as the old Winsor Newtons used to be, but the points are better than Winsor Newtons used to be. And the new Winsor Newtons, I have not found that they're that great. I used to be exclusively Winsor Newton, but I can't remember who turned me on to these, probably Hillary Barta, but these are about 15, 16 bucks a piece. If you get them at Blix online, otherwise they're like 17 or 19 if you get them in the store or whatever. There he is, Andy Smith.
There he is.
Are you finished inking your Captain America?
No, not yet. You remember the John Buscema one, right?
Yeah.
That I shared?
Yeah.
This is how it's looking. This is what it looks like so far.
Well, you redrew it though, didn't you? You didn't actually ink the blue line of John Buscema. You kind of redid your own, right?
Well, no, it was breakdowns. Those were John's breakdowns. So I printed it out and treated it as if I was inking his breakdowns.
Oh, I see.
So I kept the same outline and proportions and everything. I just treated it like breakdowns. No, I still got some more work to do on it. But it's not going to be brush work because I did all the brush work. Now I got to do the rendering, and I do all the rendering with with pen.
Oh, what brush do you use?
I use a Raphael number 3.
Oh, you use a 3?
84 yeah, 8408 number 3.
Yeah. See, I use a Raphael 8404 too. You know,
Yeah, I used to use it too, but then I started watching some of Steve Rube's channels, and Steve uses like a 6, a 4 or 6, and he's like, they all get the same type of point. One just holds more ink. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I went out and got a bigger one, and I was like, yep, it does. I have a number 4 and a 6 as well, but not Raphael. It's a synthetic one, so it doesn't, it's not the nice hair and stuff.
Right.
And I can get a good point with it, but it's not as nice. And I just haven't dropped the coin because, I mean, dude, this brush here, the number 3 was like $30.
Oh yeah, those bigger.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I know Golden turned me onto a bigger brush for a while because he uses a bigger brush. I want to say he uses a 3. I can't remember if it's bigger than that, but
he doesn't use a brush anymore. He doesn't use a brush anymore. No,
well,
his eyes. He said his eyes are shot. He uses markers.
Yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense. He but back when I first met him, that's what he was using, and he was using a bigger brush because, like you said, it holds more ink. You can get a really, and the funny thing is, the longer the bristles are, the better point you're going to get. So the bigger the brush, you can get a better point. The problem is it carries so much ink, you have to really be careful that you don't, on your touch, that you don't get too bold accidentally. And so that's why I was sort of admired Golden's inking, that he was getting really nice line work with a really big brush. And it came to me, I tried it for a while, but it was too much of a pain in the butt to control that much ink from getting too bold with it. So I went back to the 2, and I've stayed there ever since. But on this Wraith of God stuff, I'm going to go 100% pen, except for filling in the blacks. I'll use a brush. Just
sure.
because I want to get a different line, see what it looks like. Kind of rough it up a little bit. Although you can use it with a brush.
I think that's a good way to go. I mean, you can do it with the brush, but the brush still just kind of has a softer look to it.
Yep.
Even when you try to get rough compared to a pen. Like I was saying on my stream, if I wanted to ink that Buscema Captain America without taking a pencil to it, because I took a pencil to it, and just ink what that breakdown that was there, I could have used a 102 pen and it would have came out more Klausy Sienkiewicz.
Right.
Because that's how my stuff looks when I ink somebody's breakdowns without going in with the pencil first, because I have to do more drawing that way. So.
Right. Well, let me show you something. I got to go grab something out of a flat file, but this may be of interest to you and our friends in the audience. If I can remember what drawer I put it in. I got like 4 flat files, and it's like trying to remember where I put everything. Is okay. I've got some. When I did that Metamorpho miniseries for DC, I ended up with multiple inkers on it because Matt Banning bailed on me. And
wait, that was the one that was in the anthology book at first, right?
Right, but they came out in a trade, and they
I bought the trade. I thought I told you this. I bought the trade at we were out of town, and we went to this outlet mall, and they had one of those book outlet stores. So I always go in, and they had that trade there for like $3, and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'll buy this for $3.
for $3, why the heck not, man?
Yeah, man, a full trade paperback. I love Metamorpho. You drew it. I was like, yeah, man, I'm doing that.
All right, hang on one second here. Okay, I got it. All right, so this stuff, I'm going to switch cameras here because the other camera does a better job of showing this stuff. Okay. All right, so this is Matt Banning's inks, and these are all pen, right?
Oh yeah, man, look at that sheen on that ink. Holy crap.
Yeah, I know.
Lord.
Yeah, it's shiny. Um,
Yeah, it is.
but you can,
The hell was he inking with? Shellac? Good God.
like, you can see like this kind of little stuff in here, these little, breaks, and this is actually pretty slick compared to. Even look at the line work here, compared to what like Danny Mickey would do, where he would gets a little bit more chunky. This
Yeah.
is all, and this is all, crow quill stuff. Let me see if there's a. I mean, you can see it. You can see it in the hair. Line work on the hair.
Yeah.
That's a pen, and But
Yeah.
here's the interesting thing. I wanted to show you that. But I was real happy with what he was doing, and but he bailed on me to go ink Batman, which I guess in some ways I can't blame him, but it still sort of ticked me off. Okay, now check this out. This is Jonathan Glapion. Now look at this dude with the beard. That's all brush.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because he's basically just doing a pen style line,
Yeah.
but he's doing it with a brush.
Yeah.
Which is really sort of crazy. I mean, I said, wow, your pen stuff is really cool. He goes, I use a brush. I'm like, what? Look at that hair. It looks like a brush, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a pen, and it's just but yeah, he uses all brush. So anyway, he did a real nice job on it too. Then of course I got. It's funny. I had to ink a few pages myself, and I did it with a brush. You can tell the difference, obviously.
Oh,
But
are those the pages nobody wants to buy?
no, they're the ones I won't sell because they're so rare. Because I actually ink them myself.
Right. Well, I don't know if he is over here. AJ Tom in the chat. I told him how I did an issue of Hawkman that Mick Gray was supposed to ink, and then Mick couldn't do it. So the editor said, what now? And I said, I'll just ink it. And he's like, okay. And I said, so I own all 22, 24, whatever the page count was of the book. I own it all. And AJ Tom in the chat was like, oh, I love Hawkman. I love collecting original art. I guess I'll never get one from you. And I said, well, you can always wait till I'm pushing up daisies and then ask my wife if she'll sell it. So.
Hang on a second. Yeah. Josh, you there? Yeah. Okay. Bye. Shelly's birthday today. So Josh is like,
oh, I know. I wished her happy birthday. I said, happy birthday. Is Aaron getting you a new husband for your birthday? A younger model?
Yeah, right.
So is this actually a Wraith of God page?
Yeah, it's penciled, done, and here I'll zoom out.
Dude, you are inking tight. I mean, you were penciling tight.
See, that to me, it is, but it isn't. I don't know. I thought it was kind of loose, but I've got it here. I'll put it up on screen there.
Dude, seriously, compared to what my pencils look like when I ink myself, those are like, I thought I penciled tighter for myself, but compared to what I do, you pencil tighter than I do when I ink my own work. That's nice, man.
Oh, thanks.
What page number is that? Does that say 8? I can't tell.
This is a very first.
Oh, no, it's 1. Oh, man, just drop those spoilers, why don't you?
Yeah, and then that's the second page right there that's already inked.
Yeah, well, you did that. Yeah, you showed that. I remember that. That's cool.
Yeah, and most of this is pen in here. I mean, I think I used brush down here on this rock stuff down at the bottom.
That's great, though, man. That looks fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
Because of the amount of rendering, like, is that from the inside too, or is that just a promo?
This is the thing I did back when I first did it back in like 96 or 97. And this is interesting because I did all this in pen, but I did it on watercolor paper too to even get it to feel a little bit rougher. So this is on like textured watercolor paper.
What is that? Are you going to incorporate that in a campaign somehow?
I don't know what I'm going to do with it because these were the first 2 pages. This is the original. And I was going to use them, but then I rewrote the opening to what I'm doing now because I needed this is really sort of a prologue to the story. These first couple pages. that kind of sets up the
Right.
whole werewolf thing a little bit better. And but yeah, this was the original first page I did, and then the double page spread that followed. So those are the first three, and those are all on watercolor board. They're really rough watercolor board, which was sort of interesting to work on, and it gives it a real. You can't really tell here, but when you look at it kind of up close, you can see how much rougher it is, and then what I obviously
nice. Just saying that would make a nice print to go along with the campaign. Just saying.
Yay, you're onto something there. Now, did you see this?
No, what's that?
Okay, this is a
Is that
cover.
for that sci-fi thing you said you did?
Oh, yeah. And so the guys, you go into black and white cover, but I went ahead and grayscaled it because I thought it'd be cool, and it actually turned out pretty well. But I inked all this with pen too, and just really tried to get a rough look to it, kind of because it's sort of a Blade Runner kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
That's
I wanted
nice.
it to be kind of rough, and it helped me sort of experiment to get ready to do what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to take a micron and 8.
Hey, before you start, hold on. Before you start, how old do you think Demi Moore is now?
She's our age, isn't she?
Well, there's a little difference between our age, considering we're not the same age. So
okay, that's true. Okay, well, she's older than me, so I'm going to say she's 60.
She's 58. Check this out.
She's 1 year older than me.
Let's share that with our viewers, your viewers.
Okay. She's how old now? 58?
58. How about that? She's
Wow.
like, that's right. I still have it going on. Bruce Willis, suck it. You made a mistake, Bruce.
50.
And wasn't you married to Ashton Kutcher? She's like, yeah, this is a cougar, Ashton Kutcher. Boom, you missed out as well. So,
well, when you're like a Hollywood, star and stuff, I think that it's a little bit easier to keep in shape when you've got like a full-time.
oh yeah, of course.
Full-time person helping you stay in shape.
Oh yeah. All right, I got to get to my desk and just grab a pen. I'll be right back.
All right. All right, I'm going to take a look here at the comments.
I'm actually done with all the brushwork on my on that Captain America, so now it's just pen stuff.
Okay, so are you using microns and stuff like this too? You're not using Crowquill, are you?
No, I'll show you. Hold on, I got to switch my camera. No, I'm not using a quote. No.
What is this, Andy? What does this mean? I feel like Andy is slowly becoming Aaron's Baba Booey. Is that like a sidekick or something? Oh, Andy's internet went out. Well, we'll see. He should come back, I would hope. I switch away and someone deletes Aaron.
Hear me?
There you are. Okay, you're back. Yeah, your internet dropped.
Okay.
And there he left it. I lost him again. We got some happy birthday greetings to Shelley. That's a great horse. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Androtaz, that's a great horse. Thank you. I got Raisinets, dude. That's my snack of choice that Hyper Kaiju wants to know. I don't know what the rest of you guys are eating, but that's what I'm eating. Oh, AG, that's the wrong one. That's what is everyone snacking on today? Let's try it again. Do you have like Art Tamara? Are you there, Andy? Can you hear me? Andy.
Hold
on. He's going again.
You hear me now?
Okay, there. I got you. Yes.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened.
Do you have
Damn, I love Raisinets. I love Raisinets. No, I'm inking with, okay, so a couple things. I've got this Tombow brush pen.
Yeah.
Which I do some rendering with. And when I do the rendering, I flick it So it's not like I'm pulling it to me. It's, it's one of the felt tip brush pens, and I flick it away like that when I do the rendering out of the black. And I also use my fine point Sharpie, and I do the same thing. I flick it out of the black.
Now you actually trust the Sharpie?
Yeah. By the time it fades, I'll be dead. What do I care?
Well, if you remember, those things used to turn purple and fade. Pretty.
No, this is a different type. This one doesn't do that. This is a non-bleed fine point.
Okay.
I use, but I don't start with that. Like I said, I've been doing more rendering with this Tombow because it does have a little more flex to it and stuff. So.
Right. Well, I'm going to be building up my line weights. What I mean by line weights, those of you in the audience, what I mean by line weights is simply the holding lines or your outline of your character. You want the weight of that line or the thickness of that line to vary depending on, if it's a shadowed side or a lighter side of the character, or just, for example, the side of his face here on this cheek. The upper line might be a little bit thinner, and then I'll go down here and thicken it up, because that would technically be the shadowed side of his cheek, the underside of his cheek. So, but you can use line weights a lot of different ways. You don't necessarily have to follow it, by rule, by light would be hotter or darker to control your thickness. You can just do it for visual effect and whatever you think maybe looks cool or looks good, which is what I started doing. Gary Martin really got me, to understand the, shall we say, fundamentals of inking, but I don't like to be a slave to that stuff, because I think ultimately what we want to do with our comic book work, and Andy, I think you probably agree with me, is you want it to look cool. And that's more important.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Then that's more important than necessarily saying, well, this should be a little bit thicker right here, and this should be a little bit thinner here because of the lighting. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, but so what I'm going to do, what I would normally do with a brush, I think with a brush, so I would just be all pressure control, right? So your thinner line, you have a lighter touch, and then you'd press heavier here for the darker. And that's the advantage of using a brush. You don't necessarily ever have to lift your brush off the paper. You can change your weight and thickness of your lines just by the pressure within as you're going along. But that always creates a smoother, slicker sort of feel to the line. And I want a more of an angular, rougher line look. So that's why I'm using the pen. But I do have to go back in and double up a little bit if I want the line to be thicker. I'll hit it a couple times with a pen, as where a brush I could just push down and make it thicker, then pull up and make it lighter, kind of thing. Where here, obviously the tip of the pen is going to get the same line width. Go ahead.
When do you ink your borders? That would drive me crazy not having those inked first.
I don't know. Usually last. I don't even.
Oh my God, that would
see to me that
drive my OC.
Dude, that's like annoying to me. And I'm like one of those guys that goes in and inks like all the really fun stuff first, which is really the worst thing you can do, because then you have all you leave all the backgrounds and stuff, which are usually the most boring thing to ink. You're supposed to ink those first. You're supposed to ink those first and get those out of the way, so then you can really have all your energy for the really good stuff, the faces and things. And I always tend to ink all the fun stuff first, then I'm left with all this boring stuff, and I have to force myself to ink it,
No, I kind of do that too. I mean, I do the borders first because I just have to for my OCD, but then I generally will start first panel and just go in order, but I do all the figure work first. And then after the figure work, I do the backgrounds. And if I really want to go quicker, I'll do all the brush work first, and then all the pen work, and then all the backgrounds. But if I'm just, if I'm not thinking that way, then I'll just do everything in the first panel, brush, pen, figure wise, then second, third, fourth, and then go back. But I always save the backgrounds for last.
Okay. So I'm not the only one.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
But I finally decided that it was like, we've had this discussion before that there's sort of, there's a sense of pride in using a brush because it's hard to learn. It's not an easy discipline.
Oh yeah.
And so if you can do all this with a brush, you can you kind of like, yeah, well, I can use it and I can do a brush. You do this with a brush and you kind of take this sort of pride in it. But I sort of, I started realizing that, if you ink with a pen, that's so much like holding a pencil, what we're so used to doing, that I can do it faster with a pen and I can be just as accurate as I want to be, or just as loose as I want to be, just like if you're, penciling something. So it's a more natural feeling for us to use this stuff, use pens, because it's more like
for me, it's more natural using a brush because I can because it glides and I really don't have to use much pressure with the fine point of the brush. I can really whip it around pretty quickly and use it almost like a pencil as well. So, and I like the fact that, for Cap's ab muscles here, I didn't outline those. I just used the side of the brush and chunked them in.
Right.
And that is stuff I definitely can't do. You can't do that. Well, I guess you can take the side of a pencil and do that, but.
Right. Well, no, you can't do that with a pen, obviously.
No.
So a brush is way more flexible, obviously, but I do kind of like, I don't know. I'm not as tight when I got, feeling like I have a pencil in my hand. I don't feel as, I don't even know, maybe restricted is the right word. I really get kind of really careful when I have a brush in my hand, and which, if you want to do really clean work, you've got to be that way. But there's something, I don't know, just kind of a little bit looser, a little bit freer when I got this pen in my hand, because I'm not as worried about every line being perfect like I am when I have a brush in my hand.
Before Brian Boland switched to doing everything on a computer like 25 years ago, he was all brush.
I know. I was stunned because I picked up, I ran into a dealer that had some original art from The Killing Joke, right? And so I was looking at the pages and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a brush. I had no idea. I figured that had to have been pen work, and it was not. And I was already impressed with him, but man, I was really impressed.
Oh yeah.
Dude. And then same thing with Keown. I saw his Pit pages when we were going through Malibu in his first issue of Pit. They had the pages there. And I was looking at him and I was like, holy crap, this isn't a pen. This guy's using a brush. And I was just like, wow. That was impressive.
Yeah, when Ethan interviewed him a couple weeks back on his channel, if you haven't watched that, you should go back and find it. It's really a great interview.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, when I inked that Pit stuff, I just got out this brush and just went for this crusty, brushy type look, which is funny because you look at it, you're like, well, it's not really crusty, but
yeah, I was going to say that's
I can see what he's saying looking at it, because I went back and reread those issues after that interview. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was still really impressed with what he was doing with the brush.
Yeah, so. It was really impressive. Okay, those of you guys can see this cross hatching here I was doing in this hat. I started out with a 0.8 to get the bigger lines, and I went and then I went back in here, this area, with a 0.1 to get some finer lines over the top of it. But see, that's what I'm talking about. I can just kind of go in here and be a little bit loose with this pen, and that's kind of the look I want. So get a few stray lines here and there, and we go from the best way for me that I've described it is going from a John Wayne Western to a Sergio Leone Western, where everybody's in John Wayne, clean shaven, and they got their nice, cowboy clothes on. You get into
it's John Wayne is fake Western.
Yeah, exactly. And Sergio Leone is just like total grunge Western, and you're like, that's what I want this to look like. And so I could do all this with a brush, but it would have a little bit different feel to it.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Westerns, did you see Bone Tomahawk?
I have not seen that. I am tempted, but I'm not sure what to make of it. Is it kind of like a monster horror Western thing, or what exactly is it?
No.
Oh, it
It's
isn't.
not monsters at all. This girl gets kidnapped basically by Indians, but they're cannibalistic Indians.
Okay. Well, that makes it kind of a horror
So
film, right?
no, it's not a horror film.
Okay.
It's just the director is known for he doesn't shy away from showing stuff,
Oh, okay.
violent stuff.
Right.
So whether it's gunshots or trying to eat somebody, I guess you could say. He also did his second film was Brawl in Cell Block 99, I think was the name of it, which starred Vince Vaughn, and that was awesome as well.
That sounds like that is just that sounds like a violent film.
Oh, it is. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Well, see, that's the only thing I was afraid that, and it's really weird. When I was like, in junior high, we had a rock station we listened to here in Portland. It was KGON, and they played all which now classic rock, but then it was just contemporary rock. And, but they would also have advertisements for midnight movie showings and stuff. And I remember when, they ran this ad. They said, banned in 36 countries, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, and showing at midnight. And so we'd go and see it. And, that was the black and white one, right? Well, shortly after that,
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead. He came out with Dawn of the Dead, right? And we went to a midnight showing of that, and that was pretty gross. And it's really gross, but.
For the time period, not now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you've seen the movie, right? The original?
Yeah.
Well, remember those bikers go into the mall and the zombies pull him down, they rip open his gut and start pulling out his entrails and eating them? I mean, that was pretty gross.
Yeah. So it was, but that's Walking Dead every week almost.
Well, no, that's true. That's true. But so
that's what I'm saying. For the time, it was disgusting. I agree. Yeah.
But now it's kind of, we've seen it a million times already.
But now and that's the problem with now they do that stuff, like so often. It's just like, oh, come on. Here's a great example. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
So they just came out with, over the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks now, a movie trilogy called Fear Street. So the first one was Fear Street 1994, then it was Fear Street 1978, and then the third one was Fear Street 1666. And the story carried through each of them. They really did a nice job of how they, carried the story through and such. Mm-hmm. But man, some of the deaths, you could say, in it, I was like, hey, all right, that's a little different. In regards to what they show and stuff. But it's also a really good story too. So if you like horror movies and stuff like that, you would like it. So.
Well, my point about all this was that at 14, I would go see this, and I have to admit, I almost puked in the opening scene of Dawn of the Dead, because you remember they're in those projects, and that guy comes in, and his wife's like, "Oh, honey," and he's like a zombie. He comes in, and just rips off her whole, trapezius out of her neck, and it's just like I was like, seriously, by the time you're at the end of the movie, it's like you're so desensitized to it, it doesn't even bother you. But at that age, I was like, yeah, I thought that stuff was hilarious, and I wasn't afraid to go see anything. But I was looking at this Bone Tomahawk thing, and I'm thinking, I really don't like gross, violent films anymore. And I'm kind of like, God, this might be too disgusting for me. I don't know if I want to go watch it. But I'm a big Kurt Russell.
Only one scene. There's only one scene in it that's really gross, to be honest. I mean, people get shot and stuff, and I don't want to spoil it. I mean, if you don't care, I'll tell you. I don't really care. But there is only one scene that's like really like, oh.
Sort of cannibalistic scene of.
Yeah, it's how they dispatch a person,
Mm.
shall we say.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of thing, like violent torture stuff really doesn't sit well with me anymore. I
Well,
don't
here's the good thing about it. It's not going to, you'll know when it's coming up. So you can always cover your eyes for those few seconds and then start watching again.
because I am tempted to
But
say good things about it. So
it's good. It's good, man. Kurt Russell's freaking awesome.
I love Kurt Russell.
Seen him in that, and then you see, oh yeah, so do I. And you see him in that, and then you see him in a Netflix movie where he played Santa Claus with Goldie Hawn as his, Mrs. Claus. You're just like, wow, versatile.
Oh, he's always, when he started doing those Carpenter films, like Escape from New York and everything, and The Thing, and Big Trouble in Little China, I was just like such a huge fan.
I love The Thing. The Thing remake wasn't that great, but the original is. For sure.
I can't. But let me see. I'm going to hit the comment section here and see what I missed. Let's see. Half the time, it's like when you get in the comment section, it's like they're having a conversation amongst themselves.
Dude, so I'll say this: AJ Tom comes up with the best stuff for Graham Nolan. He goes, Andy, if you throw shade on John Wayne, Graham will punch the screen in Buffalo, and you'll feel it in North Carolina. Dude, he comes up on my stream. He comes up with the best shit for Graham Nolan. He's like, Graham would grab thunder and punch the lightning. He does, man. He came up with one. I think it was even today, and I was like, I got to remember that. And of course, I forgot it, but it was very good.
I have such issues getting a real sharp picture with my camera because I have lighting issues here. Your picture's way sharper than mine. Of course, you don't have really heavy light, do you?
No, I don't have, like, on screen. It looks like the light I have is pretty good, but it's really not for me here. It's good enough, but it's basically just the overhead light. There's no actual desk light. So, but yeah, I'm surprised this camera has a couple settings. Like it was blurry before, not on your stream. This was testing out on mine. And I was like, wait a second, let me see something. And I was like, oh crap. It was only at 4 something DPI or whatever it is. And I bounced it to 720 and I was like, oh, what a difference.
Well, wait a minute. How did you change the DPI in your camera?
Well, for me, I go to camera mic, the settings, and then below camera, it says show advanced options. And I clicked on that.
Dude, I
it
bet I.
And it gave me the options.
I'm full high definition at 1080.
Right now?
Yeah.
That's what it shows, 1080?
Yeah.
And your options or whatever?
Yeah.
It could be because you're so close to it. Like, it might be one of those things where even though it's 1080, I mean, I don't know how far, like my camera, if I were to measure it from the lens of the camera to the actual board is only like about 13 inches away.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about 16 inches right here. And you can just see right in here, it just gets a little grainy. And I don't know. It's when I shoot this stuff with my camera and I do process videos rather than live streams, it's much cleaner, much sharper. So I don't know. Technology, it escapes me.
When I do time lapse stuff, I'm using my my smartphone on the time lapse function or whatever, and it comes out pretty clear.
Yeah, my iPhone is actually those are great cameras in those things. It's amazing, but
Ethan when Ethan does his drawing streams, I'm like, dude, where is that camera position? Because it's like it almost looks like it's on his like chest or something is the camera angle you're seeing. And I'm like, where are you placing that thing? And I know he works flat, which I don't understand how anybody can work flat.
Yeah, I don't know.
Drawing because of distortion, but
right. I mean, I can ink flat because the drawing's already done, but yeah, these guys that draw flat, I'm like, yeah, because it screws up your perspective, and then your sight line is off, and then then you set it up straight and you're like, oh wow, these legs are too long, or that waist is too long or something. And
Yeah.
but you guys watching at home, as you can see, I'm just I can go in and kind of scribble with this pen, which obviously I could not do with a brush, and get, and I can cross hatch over the top of it and leave some broken line work in there if I want to, rather than just go solid black with a, like I would do if I filled in the brush. See, there is kind of some, as Andrew Loomis said, fun with a pencil. This is kind of fun with a pen. You can kind of just sort of, I love the idea that I can just kind of go in and create shapes, and I'm not, when I get that brush in my hand, I become a slave to the brush and trying to do everything just perfect. Or when I got the pen, I feel.
What size pen are you using now?
Well, this is just a point. This is a 0.3, so I'm kind of splitting the difference here. Because a 0.1 is most of the time is too fine, and that 0.8 is good for outlining, but it's kind of heavy if you're trying to do line work on the inside.
Oh yeah. Yep, I hear that. That's not a micron though, is it? Or is that a micron? I can't tell.
Yeah, it is a micron. I went
Okay.
because I always like to look and see what other people are using, right? Because I'm never satisfied with the stuff I'm using. I always think, well, there's got to be something better out there than what I'm using. And so I was on to Le Pen's for a while because Mark Brooks turned me onto those, but I mean, they're fine, but I don't know. I don't know if they're all that great. And I know that Frank Cho uses these microns, and he seems to, I mean, he does everything with a micron. And I think, doesn't Ethan use microns too?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, so I went back to this to see if I get maybe if the ink was a little bit darker. And so I don't know. So now I'm on a micron kick. And like I said, I don't know if there's really, as long as it's archival ink, I don't know if there's a huge difference.
Have you tried this type of Tombow brush pen I'm using right now?
I have at like conventions and stuff, but I've never tried to use them on like finished artwork or what I'd consider finished artwork.
You should try it because it gets that fine line, like what you're getting right there. But then if you want to, like I know Neil likes it, Neil Adams, because he says it's kind of like using a 102 in a way. Really? Yeah.
Because those are things. See, I did some experimentation with the the 102, the crow quill, and boy, I could never really get the hang of it. And maybe I didn't spend enough time working on it, but it was like, even with these microns, they're essentially felt tip markers, is what they are. So you can get a little bit of variance in the thickness of that line by how hard you press. But I found that those crow quill pens, they're so stiff. I mean, I guess after you use them for a while, they get more flexible. But I had a really hard time getting line variances like I wanted to, and then I would just go in and build up. And the problem with those crow quills is if you kind of like scratch back and forth like I've been doing with this micron, is they'll splatter on you.
It'll splatter. It can tear up the paper. All sorts of fun stuff that you.
So I'm not really. Although I do like the look, and especially somebody like Danny Mickey, I really like how he does his stuff. But I think I got more control and more flexibility, maybe is the word I want to use, with these microns.
Right.
So I would just as soon use these as go ahead and try and use a crow quill pen.
AJ Tom says, Aaron, will you be selling the Wraith pages when you're done, when you're finished? The Wraith pages when you're finished?
Probably not. Although I'm going to make, I am going to make a couple things available. One of my tiers is going to be, I got this poker scene in a casino in the comic, and I think I'm going to offer up, well, definitely one, maybe 2 pages where you can get yourself drawn into the scene. And you'll also get the original art.
I didn't do that.
But it's going to be expensive. It's going to be like $2,500. But you get your picture in the comic, and you get the page that you're featured in. So I'm going to have that as a tier option.
Yeah, I did that, but I didn't do the you get the page. It's just you get drawn in the book, and then you get 4 copies of the book for friends and family.
Yeah, well,
And
yeah, show you
that was bought. That was already taken. So that one, because it's only a one and done. Because
what did you charge?
I don't know. Because they're not getting original art, so it was 400.
Yeah. See, I've seen people
into it.
I've looked at this, and some people charge like as much just to get drawn in the comic. They were charging like $2,000, and I thought, God, that's
I saw that. I was like, I can't.
It's kind of stiff, but I thought, you know what? If I draw you in there, and you get the page, then I can.
Well, then you're getting the original art too. I mean, I would. Obviously, it's up to you, but at 2,500, they get the page, they get drawn in the book. I might throw in like 5 copies of the book as well.
Oh yeah! Oh heck yeah!
Oh yeah! Okay, I didn't know if you were going to or not, but yeah, I'd probably do that as well. See, with yours, that's what I was going to say earlier. AJ brought this up as well in the chat. With the type of pen work you're going to be doing in the book and line work and stuff, you might want to look into doing a black and white artist edition tier where, it's the same size as the comic, but it's black and white.
Yeah,
some people do a different tier for that
thing, and I was like, I wouldn't mind doing it because it'll read really well in black and white.
Because then you can do a tier where you get black and white and color, get both. So you have one tier for black and white, one tier for color, and then one tier for both.
Well, the thing I'm wondering about on something like that is how big of a hassle is that going to be at the printers to do that? It's going to be an extra printing cost to do that. So then you have to make sure you sell enough of the black and whites to actually.
Well, that's why you quote it out first before you set the tier up, so you know what you're looking at.
Right.
You quote out the minimum and go, oh, if that's the minimum order I got, I could do that. And then obviously even the minimum, you're quoting out, so you have some left over for, cons and stuff as well, because you don't want to, print 200 and like, oh, I sold 200. Now I don't have any for myself.
Well, you know what I might do, depending on how the whole thing looks when I get done, because this is originally what I was going to do with the Garbage Man when I tried to crowdfund that a couple of years ago. And the biggest mistake I made with the Garbage Man thing was, I added an original story, and then I was trying to raise enough money to pay for, the page rates to do that. And if I had just done it as a reprint edition, and it would have been super cheap to do. Basically, you're just paying for your printing costs. And so what I might do with this, depending on how it all turns out and stuff, I might do that as a separate campaign to just like do like a black and white artist edition.
Oh, there you go.
Of it. And then because then you don't have to raise that much money, right? Then you're looking at raising maybe $6 or $7 if you did it as a hardcover, maybe a little bit oversized in black and white.
Oh, yeah.
You're raising $6 or $7, right, to pay for the shipping, and that's it. So you don't have to sell that many copies of it to do it. And so I might do that.
Yeah.
Because we'll see how it looks. Because see, the funny thing is, I don't even know if this is saving me any time inking it this way, but because I can go in and ink it like this and do it in such a relaxed fashion, it doesn't really feel like a chore inking it. And because inking with a brush to me is always sort of a chore, because it's like I said, everything you really have to be focused. Yeah, you can't get too loose or the lines get sloppy. And kind of like Boland was talking one time, I think, and he said, he goes, I looked down at my hand when I was inking a line one time, and I was astonished at how slowly my hand was moving. And that's really the truth. You have to maintain such a high level of control to get those lines perfect when you have a brush, if that's what you're going for, right? I mean, obviously Klaus Janson isn't doing that, but but Bolin clearly was, and I would be closer to the Bolin school than I would be the Klaus Janson school. And so doing it that way would be like, just, it's just like it's like almost intense. It's like work. And when I'm making it like this, it's more like play, like, we're sketching at a convention, and yeah, maybe it takes me, doesn't really save me any time, but just the lack of stress and the intensity of the lower level of intensity that I'm dealing with when I'm inking like this is significant, at least for me personally. So,
yeah, no, because I'm just opposite. When I was doing this cap with the brush, because I did this cap, all the brush work, not like it's hard, it was a hard thing, but I did all the brush work, I think, in an hour. So I don't know. Inking with the brush for me is pretty relaxing because it's what I use mostly.
Right.
So.
Well, my biggest problem is that I have never been a full-time inker, right? So I have never inked stuff so regularly that it became second nature to me. I mean, I've got good enough at it that I got the control and I can do what I want to do with it for the most part, but I've never like pencil and inked my own stuff regularly so that it just became second nature to me. So that's why we're using these pens is more comfortable for me, because it's so close to what I'm used to doing with a pencil.
Right. I hear you.
But
so, any plans for Shelly's birthday tonight? Let's get to the real meat of the conversation.
Yeah, no. It was funny because she was like, so what do you get me for my birthday? What do you get me for my birthday? And I go, I don't know. What do you want? And we actually had these conversations online because she live streams with me most of the time I do it. And, I was like, I don't know. And I was more concerned about her, what are we getting for you for cake, and,
oh yeah.
And so I see this charge comes up in my account for like Estee Lauder, right? And I'm like, so I go into her and I go, oh, so this must be your birthday present, huh? And she's like, oh yeah, I was going to tell you. So she's got a bunch of Estee Lauder products, and I'm paying for it. So there's her birthday.
So has Josh called for her birthday yet and wished her happy birthday, or will that be later?
Well, that's why he called me on the phone. He goes, I'm trying to call Mom and she's not answering. And I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
taking a nap. Who knows? Now I want to let everybody know I am, for the sake of this video, I'm using this, the Copic marker black to fill in the blacks here. But normally I would use a brush, and I will on most of the other pages, but for the sake of just getting this done so you guys can see what it looks like finished, I'm using this marker because I have one in my hand, just right here to use. So, but normally I would go in with,
it's a good thing you're not selling those pages, because I think you just literally talked everybody out of wanting to buy that one. I'm using a Copic. People are like, AJ's like, oh, what I said before about buying Wraith of God pages? Yeah, just ignore what I said.
No.
Since now I know you're using Copics.
Only on this panel, though.
At least they got to see me dip my brush into real black magic. Yeah,
well, these Copics, some let's just say some other artist who will remain nameless. She's really been an anti-marker advocate like crazy on Twitter without really any evidence that they fade. And she actually got into it a little bit with Mark Brooks, although Mark didn't really get too aggressive, as you can imagine. But he took exception because he uses, all these color covers. He uses this combination of acrylic and marker. And, he was like, well, I've been using these for a long time and I've seen no evidence that these things fade, and her argument, of course, is, well, all markers fade. You're like, okay, well, that's not really an argument because that's not necessarily true. And, but anyway, because she's pushing watercolor commissions and everybody else is doing marker commissions. And so, I think it's a little bit self-serving, but anyway, I got marker stuff that's 30 years old that hasn't faded. So, even the slightest. So I'm not losing sleep over this black that I put in here. But
Oh no, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. Going on any other live streams soon?
well, I'm leaving town on
Oh, where are you going?
Thursday. I'm going to Kansas City.
Oh, is there a con?
Yeah, a 1-day show, and then a store signing on Friday, and then the show's on Saturday. Then I fly back in on Sunday.
Oh, that's cool. I'm going to Savannah this weekend for a convention.
Oh, that's right. That's what you were talking about with Fragaboom. How many days is it?
Just 2, Saturday, Sunday. Leaving on Friday, drive down, come back Sunday after the show.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't just travel that far because I'm traveling halfway across the country basically to go to Kansas City. And I wouldn't travel that far for a 1-day show, but it's like, it's been so long since I've done a show. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And now I'm kind of like, ugh, I got to fly and I got to pack and I got to do all this stuff.
Oh, you got to wear a mask the whole time. That's why I don't want to fly until they dump the wearing a mask the whole time you're on a plane. I'm just like, oh.
Well, the thing is with the mask, I actually found a couple that are really, really comfortable because what bugs me the most is, obviously if it's too tight, it hurts the back of your ears. And then it's so tight to your nose and mouth that you feel like you're breathing fibers all day.
Yep.
I got one that's actually pretty nice and very comfortable. So it's like, I'm not too concerned about that.
What if I walked on a plane with a ball gag, if that would work? But they say, nope, your nose is still not covered. And I'm like, fine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd have more questions about than just whether
I walk on with the N95 mask, and then when I pull it down, there's a ball gag underneath.
Oh my God.
So I tell you what, I am not a fan of LeBron James. I'm just not.
Neither am I. It drives me
and
nuts.
yeah, it just drives me crazy the way he runs his mouth. It's like, he's a great basketball player, but just when he runs his mouth, and I saw him, he was on the sidelines, I guess, of one of the playoff games this past week.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a mask and everything, and it's just totally below his nose.
Right. Yeah.
You can totally, his nose is wide open, and it just annoys me because it's like, I don't care if you wore it like that if it wasn't for the fact that you'd like to go around telling people how to do stuff. And you're not doing it properly, so shut up.
What's the point of wearing a mask if you don't have your nose and mouth covered? There's no point.
That's the thing. No. None at all. And he just drives me crazy. I got to admit, I was pretty glad when they got bounced out of the championship or out of the playoffs. Not that I follow basketball.
Joe Bernardo is really pushing us to do more cross-gen stuff. Hey, chat, do you guys feel like we are looking into a time machine into the studios of cross-gen?
Well, we'd have to be drawing cross-gen stuff for that to be the case.
Well, later, though, we weren't. When they were going under, we were all like doing different things at our desk.
That is true. That is true.
Anyway, you have a pretty good idea what that looks like with
Oh man, you're only 8 subscribers away from 1,000.
I know.
Oh. Yeah, but how many hours do you have? Do you have enough hours? Because you got to have the viewing hours too.
Like 4,000 or something. I think I'm over.
Yeah.
4,000.
Oh really?
I think I am. But I mean, dude, I've got a ton of videos, and I'm like you now. I stream practically every day. And actually, it's Andy's fault that I stream every day because when I got Wraith of God ready to go, he's like, dude, you're gonna have to stream every day to push that book. And I'm like, oh man, I'm losing my voice. I am streaming so much and talking so much.
Yep. This is now technically my 3rd one because I did mine this morning. Yeah, well, I did mine this morning, and then I was doing one when you came on for an hour and 20. So I bounced over here. So that's 3. I've got an interview at 5 on somebody's channel. And then at 9 o'clock, Niall asked me if I wanted to come on to the Pop XP when Bart's on. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I don't care. And Bart's like, yeah, I don't care. Come on. So
Well, I want everybody to take a look at this line I just did. I wouldn't have done that with a brush. It would not have been that loose and bumpy. It would have been totally slick. I could have got line weight variances in it, but it would have been a totally slick line. And that's not what I'm going for, man.
Is that your dog barking?
He always barks, especially when I'm live. I mean, he always barks anyway. I like to joke that, oh, I'm live streaming, so a dog must be barking, but he barks all the time. If he hears like a
Joe Bernardo asked, what do you guys get when you get to 1,000? Well, if you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 viewing hours in the course of a year, you've got to have the 4,000 in the course of 365 days. Once you get to that, your channel can become monetized and people can start sending you super chats and all that
get
fun
a little
stuff.
Bit of money from the ad revenue. I mean, I guess it's just paltry, but
yeah,
at least something.
Well, yeah, until you get up into like thousands of
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Hey, now I made the comment that I was shocked. I think I told you this, that when I said it on Ethan's stream, that he's got 20,000 more subscribers than Bill O'Reilly, which I thought was just unbelievable. But you know who else has more? You know who has more subscribers than Ethan does? David Finch.
I was going to say Dave Finch has like 166,000.
Yeah, 166, 167. Just really, he had.
Now we know why he's not drawing stuff every day for comics. Yeah. He's like, I got my business right here. 166,000 subscribers. He
had Ariel Olivetti on there doing a demo on acrylic painting, which I thought was kind of cool. David Williams actually told me about that, and I checked it out. I'm going to have to do
it for. You should. I paid. So there's one of those. I can't remember the name of the website, but it has classes and stuff you can take. And Ariel Olivetti did a painting class, and the example he did was Captain America, and it was like $20. So I'm like, man, I'll pay $20 for that. So I paid $20. There were like 8 videos, and I watched from beginning to end. The only thing that wasn't in it was the drawing a cap was already done in pencil, but the next stage after the pencil was shading it with a black, specific type of black colored pencil. Then after that, it was all just the steps of the painting. And it was like, wow, that is, I watched it. I was like, that's really cool. Now, if only I could paint. I tried doing that method. Came out okay. From
acrylics are
first time trying.
Yeah. Acrylics are a very different thing than watercolors.
Oh, yeah.
I had many years ago when I did my book for Watson Guptill, that monster book I did that you actually set me up with the editor at CrossGen. I wasn't getting the richness that I was looking for on a couple pieces with the watercolor, and so I went in with acrylics and sort of experimented with acrylics, and it actually so I got this kind of, I now do this when I paint, which isn't often, but I use this combo of watercolor and acrylic on different parts of the painting that actually has worked fairly well for me. So
oh, that's cool. Mike S. Miller's in the chat, and he said Aaron looks fun to ink. I just finished a burn page, ink for fun. Dude, I saw that on your Facebook, and that came out awesome. And I meant to ask, did you do that traditionally, or did you ink it digitally? Because I couldn't tell, because I saw the blue line, but man, you should see the page he did over Burn. It's the new X-Men stuff Burn's doing. Holy crap. He hooked it up.
Now, wait a minute. You're saying Byrne is doing some new stuff right now?
He's doing that fanfic X-Men stuff that he's not getting paid for. He's just drawing for fun.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mike started off as an inker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he said it's on the iPad. On the iPad in Procreate? Holy crap. That came out really nice.
Good. There
Damn.
you go, Mike. Getting a little plug on the show. Hey,
All right,
speaking of
I'm gonna
plugging
eat this
stuff,
stupid shield freehand.
you've got your First Man campaign up, right?
I sure do. First Man Volume 2 live on Indiegogo. So please go and back it if you haven't already. We have unlocked the first stretch goal of the oversized trading card, which I tweeted out and sent an update out earlier this morning so people could see it.
That's very cool. So now, if someone goes in there and types in Andy Smith, will it come up?
It sure will, because honestly, it was funny when we were on Ethan's stream Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Saturday night. It was originally titled just First Man, Volume 2, whatever. And then I think it was Shane and you both brought up like, oh no, that's why I put my name in it. So if somebody searches the name, so during the stream, I went in and renamed it to Andy Smith's First Man Volume 2.
There you go.
So now if somebody searches my name, yes, it'll come up. So
yeah, I wasn't even going to do that. And then I saw Shane did it and I went, God, that makes a lot of sense. And so
I know. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do that. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm making this shield freehand.
Most people, when they look stuff up, they'll look up your name first. They won't even remember the name of the project, right? And like, oh yeah, Andy's got something up. What's it called? And they type in your name and it doesn't come up, and you're like, oh.
Right. Exactly.
So let me do a little promo myself while I'm thinking about it.
Well, of course.
Yeah, so everybody like and subscribe. I'm like 10 away or less, 8 away from 1,000. And when I hit 1,000, we're gonna have a huge party. I don't know what that means, but I'm planning big. There'll be confetti and there'll be like cake and pie and things like that. So
that's a party. Oh, see, when I hit 1,000, I'm gonna have cocaine and whores. So
okay, well, see, but you have more of an adult channel than I do. This is the this is the PG channel. So, but anyway, so so like and subscribe if you're new to the channel and you're just checking this out. We do this kind of stuff all the time, and there's always drawing on my channel, whether it's just me or we have a guest like Andy doing some work as well with me. So make sure you like and subscribe that. Also, my Garbage Man trade paperback is now available for pre-order from Dark Horse Comics. You can pre-order it at your local comic shop, or you can pre-order it on Amazon. It's a 134-page graphic novel, full color, reprints all the material that I did at DC Comics over 10 years ago, if you can believe that. And but it also has 18 pages of new material because Batman was in the original story. I had to take Batman out once I gained ownership of the character again, and I put him in with my new super team that is part of the.
Aaron, why are we not seeing a couple of those pages?
You think I probably should? Well, because I'm always kind of torn with that kind of stuff because I'm like, well, I want to make him get the trade paperback to see what's inside. If I give him too much information.
Well, I'm not saying show the whole thing, but 1 or 2 pages with your new characters. And by the way, AJ Tom says, when I first looked up your old First Man campaign, I typed First Man and didn't find it. Well, that's because you spelled out First Man. It's 1 ST man. But thank you for looking for it. And oh yeah, by the way, everybody on this stream, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Andy Smith. Bump over there and hit the subscribe button as well. I would love to get to 1,000 at some point. I have about 500 to go though, so
well,
long way to go. But
it's a process, man. But you'll get arduous. There. And yeah, it is.
Oh, I will.
But anyway, so I have this coming out, and that comes out in November. So I'd appreciate you guys checking that out. I also have this. And pre-launch stage on Indiegogo, Wraith of God. You can look up Aaron Lopresti, and this will come right up. Also, there's a link in the down here at the bottom of the description on the YouTube channel, and it's on my both Facebook pages, on my Indiegogo bio page, and it's also on my Twitter profile page. The link to this. So it's going to be 3 covers. It's 72 pages, a graphic novel, all original material. and it may grow a little bit bigger too, as I'm doing a couple of rewrites. But that's the second cover. This is my 70s Marvel retro cover that everybody seems to kind of dig. It's a lot of fun if you remember that style of cover from the Marvel comics back in about 1972. I think they were doing those. And there'll be a third cover by a very big name artist who will be revealed later. So, and if you sign up now on the pre-launch page, you get a free trading card, a special trading card that only people that sign up before the launch and then buy the book, they will get. If you don't sign up pre-launch, you won't get the card. That's how it works.
That's right. Now, here's the question. Can you draw horses out of your head now, or do you still have to look at them?
Okay. That's sort of like, yes, I can draw them out of my head, but what I always reference is the face and or the horse head. I can draw them, but then I always pull out some reference and sort of tweak them a little bit to make sure they're right on the money. But yeah, I can draw them out of my head.
Nice.
I can't draw tanks out of my head, though, or guns. I have to reference.
Well, I can't draw tanks or guns out of my head either, but I'm definitely not drawing a horse out of my head. That's for damn sure. So
well,
I had to draw for one assignment I'm doing now, not comic related. I have to draw a freaking tiger, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
You know what? I had to do that on a sketch cover at a Boston show, and I went over to Mark Schultz's table and I said, Mark, show me one of your big cats. And so I took one of his drawings and used that for reference to draw my cat on the sketch cover because somebody wanted a Shanna and Zabu.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, and I was like, okay, so that's what I did. I ran over to his table and used that for reference. It turned out all right.
Oh, Mark Miller would like to know if you can draw a tank with a horse head.
Yes, I can.
I can draw a horse head lying in a bed, decapitated, because I've seen The Godfather.
That's right. Look at this. Johnny Fitz comes in from Chicago and says, "Old man Aaron, always with the live streams." Wow, that's the kind of disrespect that gets you one of these.
Oh.
I can't take that. You know, when a guest comes on, my slaps ratio plummets. I know Jeff usually gets knocked around pretty good in this show, but he's actually, when we're like, you know, talking and doing art, he's kind of like actually pays attention. So, you know, and is mesmerized by it all. He's also claims that he plays video games during the show, so we don't really have his full attention most of the time either.
Oh.
Raise your hand if you think the variant is someone other than Walter Simonson. I will tell you right now, it's not Walter Simonson. I didn't ask Walter. He's very busy with Ragnarok right now. Of course, the artist I asked is very busy too, but I was actually a little bit surprised that he said yes. But I told him, and this is what I said, dude, I'll pay you your full cover rate. So it's just treat it like a regular job. Like Marvel called you up and said, hey, we need you to do this cover. You wouldn't turn him down, would you? So don't turn me down.
That's right. Or I'll never be your friend anymore. You told him. You said, if you turn me down, that's it.
That's right. We're done. You're dead.
Up. I will be able to add a new friend in my life because I will be deleting you if you turn me down.
You're now off my Facebook page.
That's right. Man, all I got left on this is actually to fill in the blacks now. Wow.
But see, that's what you're supposed to have an assistant for, right? Is to fill in the blacks. Isn't that what you got the inks for?
I wish.
I used to go over to, and I'm really bad about this. I don't wait to fill in the blacks, which is dumb because when you erase, then it dulls your blacks. But I get impatient and I kind of want to see what the thing's going to look like. And when Gary Martin was inking me on Sludge, I'd go over to his house and he'd have all these pages and all the line work was done, but they were all had these huge white areas where the black was supposed to be filled. And I'd go, gosh, I want to see what this page. So I would sit there while I'm visiting with him. I would fill in blacks for him just so I could see what the page was going to look like.
Yeah.
And so he was either A, happy because he'd have to pay someone else to do it, or B, he didn't have to do it himself.
Or C, he's like, I could fill these in, but I know Aaron's coming over.
That's right, exactly. But you know what I would do is I would change a little line work here and there that I wasn't happy with, and I wouldn't tell him because he'd get all probably pissy with me if I did that. So
yeah, I could see why. All right, now
But
I
I-
got to go back to my desk and pick up my pen to fill the blacks in because I use a Pentel brush pen. to
you're
fill in.
you're using a pen to fill in your blacks.
A Pentel brush pen. Difference.
Well, what's the difference?
It's a Pentel brush pen. Do I have to repeat myself one more time?
Well, I know, but what kind of ink's in it?
I guess it's black India ink.
See, you don't even know what kind of
Yes.
ink's in there. You don't even know.
It's whatever comes with a Pentel brush pen. I don't know.
So why is that any worse than me using a Copic marker to fill in the blacks?
Because it doesn't have marker in the name.
Oh, I see.
See, you should say I'm using a Copic pen to fill in a Copic brush pen to fill in the blacks, or a Copic chisel point pen.
I see.
Marker, man, bad connotation. Bad connotation.
Yeah, I think you're right. You may be right about that. Well, we're going to be done about the same time then. How about that? That'll work out just
Not
right.
really, because you won't be done with the page, and I'll be.
Well, I'm
done
not doing the whole page. My goal was to do these two panels
Oh,
because we're at an hour and a half right now. It's like I got to quit doing these epic 3 hour,
is it really? Oh my
3.5
god! Yes.
hour live streams because a lot of
Oh,
people are
you
telling
love
me
it.
that the second viewing, which you also want to get some, people coming in that missed it, right? It's
Oh, yeah.
pretty hard for people to sit there for 3 hours and watch a pre-taped live stream.
It's
I
true.
think they're more comfortable that, if you could do one. Actually, if I did a process video, generally my process videos are about 30 minutes, because I edit and, do all that kind of stuff. But these live streams, they just go on and on and on. And I can't imagine that people actually watch the whole thing.
Yep, that's why I keep my morning show to a nice hour.
Do you?
One, because I got other stuff to do.
What do you
And it's
what do you
easy
do
for the
mostly on your
replay.
live streams? Or does it change?
What's that?
What do you do mostly on your live streams, or does it change?
My morning, it varies from day to day. Today I went over because I have scans of so much stuff I've done throughout my career
Mhm.
that of past jobs that I'll go over and show the raw pencils if it was just a job I penciled to a past job, page by page. And of course, I make up dialogue and stuff as I go through it, talk about any memories that come back. Tomorrow, I'm going to be showing this book. This was a book that I used to check out from my library when I was a kid all the time. And I just bought a used copy of it a little while back. So I'm going to
Stole it from the library.
I did that with one book I had. So this book right here, I don't know if you're looking or not, or have heard of this book, but I love this book. So I'm going to go through this book page by page. So every now and then I'll pop a drawing book I really enjoy and go through it page by page. Was it yesterday? Yeah, today's Tuesday. Yesterday I did a Brian Boland, Dave Gibbons early work stream where they did stuff for Power Comics. It was about a South African superhero or an African superhero, and it came out in 1975, and it was some of their first comic work. And I have the 4-issue reprints Eclipse put out. So I did a page by page flip through of all 4 issues, talking about their early work and stuff. You could see how it's grown and whatnot. And then every now and then I'll pull up a news article. Like this is hysterical. I don't have it anymore, but apparently this 24-year-old female long jumper, when she was doing her qualifying for the Olympics, after she did her jump and was qualified, this not judge, some woman on the sideline, maybe it's a judge, I don't know, but she basically came up to her and said, your shorts are too short, they're inappropriate. So I showed the picture, and they're They're like female boxer. They're like female briefs, is what she's wearing. She's a freaking long jumper. What the hell is she supposed to wear?
They all wear that, don't they? Do they all wear that?
Yes. Yes. And they weren't too short at all. In fact, I thought they were just fine. As I said on my stream, if Shirley wants full range of motion, she should be wearing a thong doing that long jump. But yeah, so I'll bring up news articles every now and then. Like, here's one. Do you know how much Black Widow did for its second weekend? Or I should say, how much of a bomb it took for the second weekend?
I'm guessing. I was wondering about that. Give it to me.
So, well, just to give you, it was beat out by Space Jam 2 with LeBron and Bugs Bunny, which made 32 million, and that beat it. So, second week it made 25 million.
Oof. It probably debuted pretty well, though, right?
It debuted at a couple hundred million, but the second week it does 25.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of backlash on that film. Obviously, we talked about that on EVS's stream too.
Well, I think it's that, and I will say this: the article I read said that movie theaters are blaming Disney because they streamed it as well. I mean, you had to pay $30 to get it, but still, if somebody wanted to pay $30, they could avoid going to the theater. So movie theaters, the article said, are blaming Disney for doing a double dip type thing,
right,
for why the second week did so bad. But I think it really chalks up to what they did, no spoilers, but what they did to Taskmaster. So, and just the story itself.
Yeah, I mean, I like Scarlett Johansson, but there was some things that kind of pissed me off about that movie.
Oh, yeah.
It has nothing to do with her, obviously, but...
No. Well, I mean, she could have shown a little more cleavage. I'm just saying. Like, sweetie, people are coming to see this movie because they like your rack, not your acting skills. Come on. Just kidding. For any feminists watching Aaron's channel, just kidding. I know I don't have any of those feminists watching my channel, so I can get away with that stuff.
Lady Celtic Moon's in here. I don't know how she feels about that kind of commentary. I have no idea.
Oops. Sorry. Please go subscribe to my channel there.
I do want to point out here while I'm inking that, see, this kind of, you can't really see it all that well, but this cross-hatching right in here was not in the pencils, but...
No, I really wish I could. You're going to have to scan that.
Yeah, I will. There's some, this heavy black area here, I just wanted to kind of put a little gray next to it there to soften that. And so I would just, if I was doing that with a brush, I don't know. I don't know if I would have done that. I don't know if I would have been as bold to just say, you know what, I'm going to draw with this brush, like I'm drawing with this pencil. I'm just adding stuff. And I can just kind of scribble over the stuff to get the hatch,
With the brush, the problem with the brush doing stuff like that is it's just going to automatically bump it back. And I'm not being facetious or whatever. It's really going to take it back to like, oh, that's 1970s looking. That's nice. You know what I mean? It's not as illustrative. It's not as illustrative compared to when you use a pen. That's why for like all the rendering I do now in my own work and even on this Captain America, I use that brush pen because it gives it more of an illustrative type look than traditional brush inking would, because that would be thicker. The feathering would be thicker and all that. So
that's the thing I have to be careful about, because my style is very sort of, someone described it, I thought it was pretty well. I can't remember exactly the terminology they used, but sort of a modern classical look. In other words, it kind of felt, it had enough going that it was a modern comic book feel, but at the same time, it really felt like, old 70s type stuff, which, some people like that. Some people think it's old fashioned and outdated. And so when I ink with a brush, it only sort of reinforces that sort of thing. So, to kind of get away from that, inking with a pen sort of helps me also get away from that
totally
old style feel, if you will.
Yep. Nope. I agree.
One thing I can do here now that makes it a little bit more difficult when I fill in these blacks with this marker. If I was doing this with a brush, I would actually feather into the cross hatching I've already put up, so I'd get a softer transition from the blacks into the cross hatching. But since I'm not doing that on these panels, I have to go back in over the top and crosshatch over the top more than I normally would, so that that blend from the solid black into the crosshatch is softer and more natural looking. Because you don't want your crosshatching to feel like it's laying on top of the black. You want it to feel like it's kind of coming out of the black, emerging from the shadows, if you will, Andy.
I got to tell you, you're really triggering me over here by saying how you like to lay on top of the blacks and stuff. I kind of wish you would say the dark areas,
Okay.
because I'm getting triggered, and I don't know if BLM is watching this, but I have a feeling if they are not going to subscribe to your channel with that type of talk. Just saying.
See, you're trying to bring trouble to this show. You're trying to be controversial and get me in trouble.
What are you talking about? I don't even like to use the term I spot blacks in my work anymore.
Do you really?
I hate using that term because I'm so self-conscious. I'm like, God, if I say now I've got to go in and spot the blacks, I always think to myself, if somebody doesn't know comics, do they take that the wrong way?
Well, it's funny now that we're on this topic, there's no going back, but they used to have, like, you go to college football games and they'd have like blackouts, right? Where everybody would wear black or whatever, right? And now there was like a couple of years ago, some people were really made a big deal out of that. Well, you can't say that. And you're like, dude, it's a color. Okay. You're not referring to a great color.
I remember exactly what you're talking about. It was a few years ago and it got all sorts of heat. And it's like, oh my God, it's the color of a t-shirt. Get over it.
Yeah, exactly.
You it's the opposing team that does it, isn't it? Is it the opposing home team?
It'd be the home team, but it would depend on what their colors were. Like Penn State does a whiteout and they get pissed about that, doing the whiteout because everybody wears a t-shirt, It's just dumb.
Oh, geez.
It's like if you're looking for a reason to be pissed off, it's like, come on, man.
Well, you can find a reason in anything.
Yep.
These days.
You're looking for it. That's for sure.
Which exactly. You say the most innocent thing and somebody will say something and you're like, and they accuse you of something, but you're like, but my mind wasn't even going there, but yours did.
So yeah, exactly. So
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second. See, I would never draw Captain America with this much black on his costume like Buscema did, because now I'm filling it in. I think it looks cool.
It does.
I don't know. I would never draw it with that much. I like seeing more of the blue.
But the interesting thing is, if you look at someone like David Finch, right? I mean, he puts heavy blacks on people, regardless of what the lighting situation is, or sort of in the middle of the day. But it gives the character so much extra weight and three-dimensional quality.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It gives it a lot of weight to it. Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, Kelly Jones wore tons of weight, tons of weight because of it.
And that's not to say I don't like guys that work in an open style too, because they can do some really nice stuff too. But boy, I have to admit, just from, my roots being, Wrightson and Frazetta and stuff like that, boy, the heavy blacks, they are really effective into creating a more of a three-dimensional feel to your work on a two-dimensional surface, which is really sort of our goal, isn't it? But I really dig that.
See, I guess the way I always thought about it, or I approach it when I do a job, is I think about what the book is or what the character is. So when I drew the little bit of Batman stuff I did more lighting and stuff, because I just think that with Batman. But for Superman, I don't. For Superman, I think it's more light and airy because he's, about light. I don't know. That's how I visualize it. And it's like First Man. First Man to me.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just to say, First Man to me is a book that's supposed to be more light and energetic feeling. So I don't want to chunk it up with strong shadows and stuff. Now, if there was a scene in the book where he walked into a really low lit room or something, of course I would. But just in natural daylight, like you were saying with Finch, I'm not just going to, I just don't see that for First Man.
Right. Well, and I have a hard time, like you said, with Superman, putting heavy blacks on Superman, because it just doesn't feel right. Feels like he should be more open and he's not a dark character like Batman or something, right?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
but by the same token, I don't feel good if you're in a, you know, like if you're in Batman's in a situation where he wouldn't be necessarily in shadow, like in the Hall of Justice or something. I still like want to put shadows all over him because he's Batman. You know, it's like he has his own little shadow that follows him around. All right, we've got some interesting comments here that I need to clear up right now.
You do it.
Mike Miller says black is a tone, not a color. Actually, it's a value, Mike. Get your language right. David Williams says black is a color. The TV told me. So, yeah.
I see that.
Okay.
I think we have the same TV channel.
Yeah, look at this. Mike says 2 bald white dudes talking about spotting blacks, not a good look. And then, hey, David Williams got a laugh out of that. So I guess Mike can chalk one up on his board there for actually saying something funny.
Yeah, well, there, you know, a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's right. Look at this, Mike's. Whoa! Now we're talking about weight, fat shame much. See, it's going off the rails.
Well, I mean, you did say you like spotting heavy blacks. So
yeah, that's. Wait a minute, hang on now. Here's Statistical Zero says, but would Crayola include black in a 24 color box if it wasn't a color?
Oh, that's something to think about.
Yeah. So it just, guys, it depends on how you look at it.
Well, I mean, if you say black's not a color and it's a tone, then is white a tone as well and not a color? Because there's a white crayon.
Well, exactly. That's exactly right. But I would, you know, here's the thing. You're supposed to be able to either add pure black or pure white to a color, and it doesn't change the color. It just simply changes the value of the color, depending on how much of that you put in, right? So technically speaking, black and white are not colors, they're values. But if you're taking something like a crayon, which you can't really mix, right? Those are colors that you lay down over the top of a white page or whatever, but you're not mixing the crayon colors. It doesn't really work because they're opaque, right? So at that point, white and black maybe does become a color because you can't use it as a tonal agent or a value agent.
I haven't used crayons, obviously, in forever. You can't mix crayons? I thought there was almost like oil pastels but I haven't tried it, so I don't know.
You can mix them in the sense if you crosshatch over the top of them where you leave some white for the other color to kind of fill in that gap. But in terms of coloring over the top of one another, they don't really work that way. So it's an interesting argument. Yeah.
Yeah. Crayon, actually, that's funny. Crayons is probably the one coloring type of medium or tool I do not have in this studio. I have acrylic, I have watercolor, I have some oils.
Now, here's Mike. See, this is Mike. See, he got a laugh, right? And then he just keeps trying to push it. He says you can melt them together and let them cool first. Is that supposed to be funny? I don't think that's funny. Boo. I think that's bad. Ooh. Bad attempted humor is what that is.
SpongeBob. Boo.
Now, Hyper Kaiju is accusing us of being art nerds for having an in-depth discussion about white and black, which I can't really deny that.
Excuse me. Well, what do you do when two mechanics are talking about motors and stuff? Do you call those car dorks or something? No, because mechanics are tough and they probably kick your ass.
That's right.
Unlike us.
Yeah, well, you know, the funny thing is people are nerds about just about whatever they're into, right? So there's sports nerds and geeks. There's, like you said, car geeks, and we just happen to be comic book geeks or art geeks.
The best kind.
Yep, that's what I always say.
Exactly.
I think a little bit of this middle panel, Andy. I'm going to wait until you're done with your cap before I end this stream. But you're almost done, aren't you?
Yep. I'm not going to erase it because I got to let it dry for a while just to be safe. But I just got to finish filling in the little headpiece here.
I like that.
I had a couple people. Oh, cool. I had a couple people on my stream saying I should sell it at the CG at Ethan's art auction in a couple weeks.
There you go. Make a little cash on it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know though, because it's a blue line ink job. And it's not even my art. I mean, it's my inks, but I don't know.
Well, it is your art because you kind of went over the top of it and sort of made it your own. You can't exactly, I mean, no one's going to look at that and go, oh yeah, that's classic Buscema. I mean, you can see the Buscema in it, but I can see a lot of you in it as well. So,
right. I don't know. I have to think about it. I've got other stuff I can sell. So it's not like if I was hurting for stuff like, oh my God, I got to come up with stuff in 2 weeks, I might, but I got stuff. So I'm not too worried about it.
I sell everything, man. I am ruthless.
Nope. We did an interview last night on the Dennis and Andy show with Daryl Banks.
Mhm.
And I almost was making Daryl feel bad because he doesn't, out of 8 years on Green Lantern, he doesn't own one Green Lantern cover.
He didn't keep any for himself?
Nope.
That's kind
And
of
the
weird.
most famous,
I kept some.
the
I
most
don't-
famous, dude, the most famous Green Lantern cover he did, issue 49, I think he said. It's either the one with Parallax, Hal Jordan Parallax, or it's the first appearance of Kyle Rayner on the cover as Green Lantern. I can't remember. Look it up. But he sold it as soon as he got it back. He sold it for $200. Now this is back, 1994,
Still.
1994, right?
Yeah.
Dude, he saw it for sale recently for 15 grand.
Oh my gosh, that's
I
painful.
was like, oh, that's so painful.
Well, see, that's
so
why I
painful.
hung on to a couple of my Planet Hulk splashes because I figure those are going to be it's going to have some value here eventually. And I mean, they do right now, but they could have 10 more years. They could have some real value.
That's why I kept a couple Jim Starlin covers I inked. And I've had good offers on 2 Jim Starlin covers I still own that I inked, and I'm like, nope, they're just going to keep going up. I'll hang on to them.
What, which Starlin covers did you ink for what?
One is from I inked a few of the Thanos graphic novel ones, and then when we did the 4-issue miniseries of Hulk vs. Thanos, I got a nice one of those that has like a big group on them. So
that's cool. I wouldn't sell those either.
Yeah. No, nope.
Do you know that? Do you know the gold mine that Terry Austin's sitting on with all those Byrne X-Men covers and stuff?
Jesus, it is low. I mean, one of the Byrne covers wasn't even a key issue. It was the one where Colossus is kind of. I think it's Colossus, and he's either fighting a bunch of guys. It's later on in the run, but Colossus is the focal point of the cover, and that thing sold for close to 200, I think.
Oh my
God! Just like, and Terry has, if memory serves, Terry owns the Death of Phoenix cover, if I remember correctly.
What do you think that's like?
I mean, right there. I was about to say that's probably $500,000.
Oh. How do you not? And I know Terry's got to be. If I'm 57, Terry's got to be in his 70s, right? Or
he's probably pushing it. Byrne just turned 70. Byrne just turned 71 this year.
Okay.
So he's got to be right around Byrne's age, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like at some point you go, you know what? I'm going to cash these in while I'm still young enough to enjoy the money, Well,
and that's just it. Like, I totally agree because, like, yeah, I get being our age, and hanging on to the stuff, but. And I joke about, when I'm pushing up daisies, I'll sell it. But honestly, what it comes down to is, when I'm like 70, 75, at that point, it's like, okay, I don't need this stuff. I'll consult with basically my daughter and be like, what do you want? Take what you want. But other than that, I'll contact somebody and be like, all right, it's time to cash out on this stuff because I'm 75. What do I need it for?
Exactly. That's the thing. I'll do the same thing with Josh, and say, hey, do you want this or what do you want? And you can keep it. And the rest.
Wow, way to kick your daughter out of that mix. Man,
she doesn't care. She doesn't care.
Oh. That's
she doesn't care about the comic book stuff. I mean, she's an artist and stuff, but she doesn't really. If I was doing Disney stuff or something, she'd be like, yeah, I want that, I want that, I want that. She doesn't care about the superhero stuff.
That's
see,
too
you can,
bad.
as Jeff says, you could almost hear the relay contact slam together when they started talking about comic book covers. Geek mode engaged. Okay, Jeff.
So,
He got it.
There's a
Nice.
flat view of it. So,
Dude,
John Buscema, Andy
I
Smith.
really like that. I like that black in there. I really do.
Yeah, no, now that it's all filled in. But see, you still got to, all the professionals have to do their take on this for the next time I host. So I'm already giving up the goose. People see it. People see it, but they'll forget.
Yeah.
But now you know what you have to live up to. So
yeah. Well, now I got to go back and look at the rough that you sent us. But did you send it? Did he indicate that much black in there?
He did. Hold on, I'll show it to you.
Didn't Byrne used to do that a lot with Captain America and make him all black?
I think so. But hold on, I'll pull it up. We'll share the screen, and your lovely audience can see the before and after. I'm just here it is. Let me open it. Open with that program. Boom. Let me just blow this up because it's pretty tiny on my screen. So yeah. So I mean, like I said, when you share this, oops, wrong button. When you share this, I could have inked it the way it is, and I thought about it, and I very well might, because if I like the way I inked it was the longer way, because I treated it as breakdowns where I went in and repenciled stuff, like when I inked Dan Jurgens breakdowns. But I could just ink it the way you'll see it here in a second, and it wouldn't take me but probably no time. Oops, hit that there. So you can share that, and the viewers can see what it originally looked like.
Oh yeah, he had a lot of black.
Yeah, that's just it. He chunked it up, and I was like, well, I'll keep the same amount of black, and I kept the proportions, so it didn't change. Like I kind of did. I think this is how Jusko went about doing the corner box art that he painted a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. If I remember what he said right, he said that he basically, because he was taking, classic corner boxes and painting them. But I'm pretty sure this is what he said. When he did the drawing, he did the outline of the character as it was. So if it was drawn by Kirby, he did the Kirby outline, so silhouette outline, but then he did his drawing inside the outline. So he kept the outline so it was the same shape, but then did his drawing. So that's what I tried to do with this cap is I kept Buscema's outline, but did my stuff on the inside.
Right.
So I mean, I could ink that in a half hour, to be honest, the way it shows on the screen.
Sure. But look at that kind of that squiggly stuff he put down there where the abs are supposed to be on, especially on the side. Is like, why in the world would you even put that in? Because you can't interpret that as as an ink line. So you either have to redraw it or just erase it and ignore it,
Right.
Because it's just, but I mean, this obviously wasn't this was a sketch he did for somebody. This was not a layout in a comic.
Well, yeah. So. Well, not only that, but I'm sure it was a con sketch, but look at the year. It was 98. Didn't he die in like 2000, 2001?
Yeah.
Actually, he died before Gil Kane, because Gil Kane jumped in to finish that one job he was doing for DC that Nolan inked. Right. And so he died in like 99 or 2000. So I mean, this was right towards the end of his life when he banged that sketch out. So
man, this was, I have a real regret because he was at San Diego. The last time he was at San Diego, I think it was the year he died, or just before he died. The last San Diego he did before he died. He was there, and I kept going to Artist Alley, and he was never at his table when I went there. And so I never was able to meet him because I was going to get a sketch from him. I got one from Marie Severin when she was there the last time. And, but I never got one from Buscema, and I was always kind of really ticked off about that because I went back a couple times to, but he was never at the table when I was there, and I didn't have any, I don't know, maybe there was a schedule that I was unaware of that, when he was going to be there and when he wasn't, but yeah, that was kind of, bummer. And I remember sitting next to
I know.
Ramona Fraden one year at San Diego, and she was
Oh.
tumbleweeds, you know, and she had metamorpho pages and stuff, and I was like an idiot. I should have bought one, but I didn't, you know.
Oh my God, I know. Dude, seriously, that would have been awesome.
Dumb.
That would have been awesome.
All right.
All right,
So,
well, I got to blow out of here because I have a 5 o'clock interview, and they sent me a link.
oh my gosh. Well, what
to
time is
another
it?
channel.
Oh, so you're like 4:40 right now. You had 20 minutes to.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know how it is for all those. You get on like 10 minutes before in the green room to talk to the
Right.
host, and
Yep.
so yeah, so
All
I'll
right,
be
push
I'll
the
be
product. Andy Smith's First Man Volume 2 is live right now on Indiegogo. You guys check that out. And
Please do want to get as many backers. So, because as of now, it's funded. So the higher it goes, the more stretch goals get unlocked, and that's free stuff for the backers. So
that's right. Cool, man. All right. Thanks for
All right,
joining
dude.
me. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for the invite. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Yep. All right. It's just me. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see this actually any better. Maybe you can there. Take a look at the line work and the cross hatching in there. And you can see how loose it is, but at the same time, you pull back about right there and it just it's really effective. You get sort of that kind of, like I said, I hate to use gritty or grungy because that's really not an art term, but for lack of a better term, that's kind of the look I want this book to have. And I don't think in any way did I compromise my artistic standards. It's just a different approach to the inking because the drawing is still there. The drawing is still, you know, what you're normally going to get from me. But I kind of like the way that looks. I really do. But I don't know if I was doing Justice League. I don't know if that's the look I'd want it to have. But for this kind of grungy Western, you know, monster superhero book, I think that works pretty well. So anyway, I will, when I get this, obviously when I get this page done, I'll scan it and we'll post it and you can actually, we'll get to see it a little bit better. Well, AJ, you can learn from me. I'm actually really uptight about cross hatching because I think there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. And it's not necessarily always about being perfect. But if you take a look at, if you can get your hands on a Swamp Thing collection, that'd be the cheapest way to do it. Rather than, if you don't have Wrightson's 10 issues on Swamp Thing, there's tons of paperback collections out of that you can get. And if you take a look at issue number 4, where he fights the werewolf, and that's probably the best example I can think of off the top of my head, because most of that stuff he inked with a brush until issue number 10, which he inked entirely with a pen because he said he was the brush was getting too easy and automatic for him. So take a look at but I don't know how much cross hatching is in issue 10, but there's some really nice line work. And so check out issue 10 of Swamp Thing and check out issue 4, The Werewolf, because there is tons of cross hatching in 4. And also, if you go and look at his Warren stuff, that's a little bit harder to find. Not that it's difficult to find, but because they're just stories hidden in different Warren magazines. And so you have to kind of grab a price guide and go through it and find the issues that he actually did stories in, like Pepper Lake Monster. Although, you know, Dark Horse published a volume of Wrightson's Warren work, you know, Creepy and Eerie. And they published it, and that's in there. And there's some really good cross-hatching in that as well. And what you find is, just, you know, really quickly, I'll do this with markers, but it's not necessarily the best way, but you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so you take, what is this? Oh, it's the questions I had for the Simonsons written down when I did their interview. Okay, so you have a black area, right? Okay. Now, if you had a brush, which obviously I'm not using a brush, but if I were, there's 2 ways you could approach it. And there is a tutorial on my videos of inking and inking techniques. And I have 25 videos along with my live streams, but usually they were, most of these I did, almost all of them I did before I started live streaming, which was, they were pre-edited, you know, process videos. And one of them is about inking, and it's called Talking Art and Comics with Aaron Lopresti, and there's like 25 different episodes. And one of those episodes, I don't know off the top of my head, I did an inking tutorial. But so what you want to do, what people do and make a mistake is, you don't want too big a gap for your cross hatching, okay, between your lines. Okay, if you do something like this, okay, and then you cross hatch over the top of it, right? This doesn't really feel like it's blended out of the black. It feels like you just laid cross hatching, you know, next to a solid line. And if this line, if this black area was like, had an even line on it, it'd look even worse, right? And that people do cross hatching like that, and this does not work. This is terrible cross hatching, all right? So what you do in this case, especially if you're using a pen, if you're using a brush, you could do really thick base lines, and then you pull up into your thinner point, right? So basically your brush stroke would look like this, right? Okay, you'd have a brush stroke like that. So you have this thick base to your line that comes out of the black. And so these lines right here, the bases would be very close together because they're thicker and then they get thinner. And that starts to make it feel like it's coming out of the black as opposed to just laying on top of the black. But let's say you're not using a brush, you're using a pen like I'm doing, right? What you have to do then is you have to continue to crosshatch over the top, okay? And your lines, if you have your lines closer together, like for example, if they're coming out of the black like I just did, okay, these lines like this, I'm doing them this way, these are going to be really tight, close lines, and then as they get farther away from the black, I'm going to move them wider and wider apart, which then makes it feel like it's blending itself out of the black, right? And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to crosshatch over the top of this black, right in this area where the lines meet the black, until it starts to feel like, sorry, the black is then blended, slowly fading into the crosshatch. See that? Now that's acceptable crosshatching, all right? And then of course you carry that out and you want it to break as it gets farther away from the black. So it feels like it's fading, then breaking up and going into white. Okay, that's kind of a quick crosshatching 101. But you don't even, after you do your first rounds of crosshatching, you can get a little messy with it. It won't make any difference. Okay, and see how this is getting darker down here and it's breaking up as I go away from this dark area. These lines are just closer together down here, and then they get farther apart as they go away. So now I can just kind of do this a little bit and just make sure it's broken up a little bit as it goes out this way, away from the black. See? And even though it's kind of crazy in there, it doesn't really matter. That's still going to work really nicely as crosshatching. But the idea is that you want a solid black area, that crosshatching is fading from solid black to a white area. And what the mistake that people make is they'll do this, the crosshatching, right? They'll only either crosshatch twice and think, well, okay, I crosshatched, that's it. But what does this look like? This looks like crap because it looks flat. There's no depth to it. And you lay that over a surface and it's just going to flatten everything out, okay? But if you if you treat cross-hatching like a shadow that's going from light to dark, so it's fading. And again, the farther, if this is my black area, the farther I get away from that black area, these lines are going to get farther apart. And that helps create that illusion that that we have this gray area here. And once I have so many lines in there, it can get a little messy, and it doesn't matter. But really what's important is this kind of fading from dark to light so that it creates some volume and doesn't just become this really sort of flat pattern that lays across something and flattens out the form. See? Those are the keys, folks. The keys to the car. AJ Tom says, I have lots of rights, including Swamp Thing. I also have the Creepy Presents Bernie rights, and thank you. Yep. Look at him closely, because that's where he does some really, really nice stuff, and that's where I got it from. Yeah, because I don't want it to feel 100% structured, right? And if you're doing basically 90-degree hatches, you're checkerboarding, okay? And that's not really, a hatch should have a little bit of, you want a little bit of random feeling to it, but you have to do a few layers of hatching before you can enter in that random element, okay? So that your base, you have your base, right, of your lines crossing, and they feel even and structured, and then you can start going a little wild over the top of those with some line work going in different directions, and it'll work really well. It'll make it seem finer. You'll be able to get that fade, but it'll still hold its the cross-hatching structure and look that you want it to look. Again, take a close look at that rights and stuff, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so again, before I head out of here, let me do this. Please get in there and subscribe and like if you haven't done so. And please remember, this is although it's not an active campaign in the sense that I'm collecting orders and money at this point for this book, it is a pre-launch page, which makes you aware of it and allows me to get an idea of how many people are interested in it. So if you'd go there and sign up, put in your email address so that I have that I can contact you and send you out, the email blast when this thing goes live, and any other important information I may have that I need to get to you as a potential and interested buyer, I'd really appreciate it. The link, of course, is in the description of this YouTube channel. We don't need to be looking at my crotch, so let me go here. That may not be much better, but it's a little bit better. So in fact, let me go ahead and run the video from the from my Indiegogo page. Yeah, rock and roll. So there you go. So that's the little preview video I made for it. Of course, what I was inking today was Wraith of God, page 1, right here. And I'll make sure that this is going to get inked and colored and be part of the art that we'll be seeing on the campaign page when it launches for real. And of course, this is the second cover that will be available. There'll be 3 cover options. The first one was what I just showed you, that image, and then this will be the second. This is the Marvel Retro version from the 70s, and then there'll be a third version featuring a superstar artist that will be shown soon. And also, guys, don't forget, Garbage Man Trade Paperback, now available for pre-order through Amazon or your local comic shop, courtesy of Dark Horse Comics. Alrighty, so there you go. Seems like I'm still on, Shelley, and everybody was wishing you a happy birthday much earlier in the stream. So you're getting a lot of love from the stream tonight or today. Okay. Alrighty, that's all I got. So enjoy the rest of your day, and who knows, I may show up tomorrow again. I'm kind of predictable that way, but I thank you for your time and your patronage and your comments and your participation in the show, and we'll catch you next time.